sky-gazing. All day, be careful.
A pleasure.
Go through the entrance and then just... Our farm residents handled the large influx over the weekend wonderfully, but I believe they are just as happy as we are when a bit of peace returns. Yes, friends, we are all completely blown away after such a festival weekend here, and so we did not expect this kind of rush. Many people who presented their homemade creations and vintage cars here with us. And we would like to take this opportunity to thank you all very much. We need to take some time to reflect on everything that has happened. It's great that we had our camera crew here, who were able to capture it all a little bit. And so, one can of course also process everything a bit filmically in hindsight. And for those of you who couldn't be there, we want to present this a bit in the form of a clip. We're already giving you a little taste of what's to come. Have fun. Guests from Nuremberg, I have already said it. Hello again. Did you sleep well in the mill? Yes, it's Werner. Exactly. Humano Roboy. Taunus. It's me, Shalan. Mopeds. Here you have something original. Very nicely with the original. He or he years with them. Yes, exactly.
Yes, exactly. So, that would be from my great-great-aunt. How do you say? From your great-great-aunt, right? Yes. And she was quite small, maybe. Like, you know. And that's why the bicycle is so small, especially when you sit on it, right? Exactly. 26 inches, I think, right?
And you have, so from family ownership, exactly, yes, wonderful. It couldn't be better, could it? And then you took the moped out of the barn and got it running again.
Yeah, something like that, right? Actually, do you also have the main one? Yes, well, gladly. But I now live in Berlin and nothing better is really that far away anymore. But yes, there is interest, but I'm just not home that often, if the opportunity doesn't present itself for us.
You can't ride along in Berlin either, can you?
One can do that.
In traffic, we also have 2 bags full in the back.
Exactly. The engine that Mom found last year in a friend's barn.
And is this the Velo Solex or the motor, or which one is it? The Farmer?
This is a Flink motor with a friction wheel drive.
Oh, those were the ones that you could actually modify onto any bicycle, right?
Yes, exactly. But you can basically build this engine onto any bicycle. Yes, it's like a mover.
So we have the technology. And as you see, we have the gear. Yes, the clutch, so to speak. With that, you press the tire here. Oh, I see, it has a rubber roller. You basically put the whole engine in. Oh, I see. And who built that? What does it represent? Flink. The company Flink. The name says it all. Yes, exactly.
And this is a company from Barel, which is near Bremen. This company is, of course, quite small.
Yes, right. Certainly. There were many small bicycle companies that also built engines for bicycles to create various models. Stepke was one such company here in the East, for example. Yes, where you could press a rubber roller against the wheel, and then this rubber roller would essentially drive the wheel. Yes, and here we have, well, this is the clutch that you then lower because you put the load on the wheel. Very nice. And then it takes off. What do you have here? This is an air guiding carburetor. That's such a big part. All right, good. I'll throw it on and go. Someone push it or what? And then you put it on top. Go ahead, do it. Come on, do it. What's your name? Finja. Finja. Shall we see Finja drive here? Let's make a big path. So let the fingers go. We want to take a look. Hey, that's crazy, right? We need to take a step back a bit as we go in. The Finja definitely really wants to go through Tucson indeed. Very much. So then we come to this. The thing doesn't have a kill switch, so you just have to cut the engine to make it stop and brake at the same time. Yes, exactly. Now let's take another look over here. Finja is still wearing her grandmother's pants. I already said I found them in the closet earlier. In Berlin, you don't walk around like that in her village. NSU, it also belongs to your family heritage.
Also family property. Just for the cool operation. Yes, the cyclists. 49. And I was once in Switzerland at a party. And there was a barn that was supposed to be torn down. And the machine was disassembled into cardboard boxes. The owner said I could take it. I have to throw it away. I have no space. So I put it in my trunk and drove across the border. Of course, without customs and just like that. And I will definitely leave it with me for another 10 years. Because there were other projects in progress. And after they were able to somewhat take care of themselves, I developed a feeling for the motorcycle.
Very nice. Quite exemplary. Or others make a fuss. So how is it still in really good original condition? Well, you rarely see red ones from 2001 because they were usually always black.
This is also not the original condition, it is red. So, the owner has...
Very old restoration?
Yes, exactly. And I already have 3 top restored motorcycles, and I said no, I will leave this one in its old look. It looks like this because of the repair here.
Well, thank God that has now established itself in the market. Yes, 10 years ago it was different. Everything that was found was restored. And today, it is actually the case that one leaves a motorcycle in the condition it was found, because you can simply see the marks of motorcycle life a bit, just like you can see our marks over time. It's actually no different with motorcycles. And NSU is, well, tell me a bit about the history of NSU. Are you...
NSU is Neckarsulm motor paper. Exactly.
So Neckarsulm, those were the 2 rivers that forked exactly in 2001, and at this fork they had their huge factory, and that's why the motorcycles were called NSU. Yes. So, not that you think these are modern things, where this word is misused today for something that has nothing, absolutely nothing to do with it. That was a really nice motorcycle brand, partly also the largest motorcycle factory in the world. And they had so much money that you can still see this transfer image here at the back. They shared it in the ER years. This means that NSU placed its logo on top, and the D referred to the D wheels from Berlin, which were produced in the early years until the beginning of the early years. And they did not survive the world economic crisis and had to sell the factory. And since they had a very good reputation, NSU said, "We will acquire them. It can only be good for our brand." And then they proudly incorporated this D into their logo as well. This is from that time. And here we have the original logos from the time before this change of ownership.
Yes, how it was. You know more than I do. You already know a little more.
So here we have, as I said, everything still original on the machine. I believe it is a 4-stroke.
Yes, exactly, also. So, Usen.
Does it have the open valves? No, it's already closed. It's a later model, around 30 or so.
Model year 49 is already 49, but the construction is from before the war.
Well, basically not much has changed over the years, except for the engine up here. The valves used to be open, so you could always spray a little oil on them with a spray bottle. And they put a cover on it, and I believe nothing else has happened to it all these years.
Yes, apparently.
And that's another thing. When you think about it in today's context, why do we need a new model every year, or even every 6 months, with inventions that no one actually needs? Just surveillance capitalism and the short lifespan of these things? And here you have such a model. This was not only the case with NSU, it was the same with Harley. It was everywhere that a model was built over many, many years, because it proved itself quite simply. And of course, the spare parts were available for many, many years for that reason. So sustainability was very much at the forefront back then. And today, it is mostly just talked about. And I can hardly stand to hear the word anymore, because it is so misused. Yes, come on, let's get it going. Zen. They can have approximately about 8 to 10 horsepower, those engines. With which are typically 4-stroke, 250 cubic centimeters. Well, motorcycle companies have liked to do that in order to maintain customer loyalty. Yes, so that one keeps coming back for more. It was the same with Harley and Indian in America. With Indian, there was a lane on the left side and also the early late ignition on the right. And with the clutch, it was exactly the opposite of Harley. Flip forward, disengage backward, and with Harley, it was the other way around. So we have a young film here for our channel. And of course, we will be following the woman, and the barracks will also be involved with his machines. Very nice. So it was a hold. So it was a completely normal utility machine back then. A motorcycle for everyone. It was also affordable for the average wallet. Everything that was larger was considered luxury. NSU produced motorcycles up to 600 cubic centimeters. A completely normal motorcycle. It was meant for the people, simply to get from A to B. With the fuel-efficient engine also included, yes, it doesn't consume much fuel. Perfect. So Werner came here with his gears yesterday, and you see this motorcycle, and don't even know the people. And yet, it feels as if you know each other endlessly in the first conversation. It's so crazy. Yes. And when you then see the motorcycle, because you celebrate all of this in a similar way in the workshop, and you can immediately see how beautifully it is done and how the artist's eye has wandered here as well. And I said, we have to do it this way, and this needs to be added, and that needs to be added. And now you tell us, what do we have here? All right, Felix, all clear. So you both built this?
Yes. Perfect.
Then tell me a little bit about it.
So at some point we were browsing through eBay classifieds, and then we found this engine, and we thought to ourselves, such an engine is something you really should have. It's something you should own. You never know. And then we thought, well, just to cook some sausages, because it will be up there.
These are those vaporizer engines, which are also a brilliant principle. Many companies built them back then. Deutz was one of the largest among them. This is a Deutz engine from the ER years, as it looks. These brass signs were attached like this until the beginning of the 80s, and it was a very simple principle. Up here, a half or a bucket of water always fit in, and then you started this engine, and you could just putter along all day long without any wind in your face, just puttering away, which is actually such a brilliant invention, and the water has warmed up in the meantime. Then you could wash a bit here, or warm up sausages or the coffee, or brew tea, perfect, so, and you took the engine. How many cubic centimeters does it have?
I have no idea. About 1.5 liters.
What are they actually? Who comes from the east? What comes from the east? The Kunewalder were about the size of many self-built bandsaws and small tractors that were often made back then. These engines were everywhere.
Yes, so we looked into it. We had a piston diameter of 90 millimeters. According to our research, there aren't many of those, only 5 of that engine. Because normally they have 80 mm or 100 mm, and this one is exactly in between. Accordingly, there are also no parts available.
So you could at most build only 5 motorcycles from that.
Exactly, if we can still find the other 4.
The tank of the original, right? The tank is original. Did you take one from a motorcycle, even an old one, it seems?
Yes, those are 2 rear wheels because they were just lying around at home. We didn't have a front wheel, so we just installed a rear wheel there as well. Whatever.
Yes. Protective streams are even DDR goods from the Schwalbe. And there are no more here than all the engines when we are inside.
Yes, and then at some point last year, we came up with the idea to put it all together like that and, so to speak, sacrificed another Victoria.
I also hear that now. I would rather not know what all the motorcycles look like. It's about what has been created, and that's really awesome. You took a bicycle. Yes, bicycle fenders and the flywheel from the engine. So those are 2 parts that spin so nicely here. And so, in the past, one would either set up a drive bridge and powered a small steam engine, a small threshing machine, or similar things. And you have basically taken this wheel to transfer your power here. And it looks like this is a rubber wheel from a cart.
Exactly. It's also slowly dissolving.
And you have such a nice clutch that it starts off smoothly?
Yes, exactly. And then he basically pushes or cranks his foot with the pedal, which pulls everything over. And then the wheel here presses against the flywheel. And then, God willing, the moped goes into gear.
And what do you have here?
This is the transmission. Here is a gearbox from the old motorcycle.
Oh, and you can do that again.
Exactly. You have a 4-speed transmission. We've never needed it, really. With the motorcycle input, 4 gears, no idea.
How much have you already ridden?
The first, indeed.
Then we will try long-distance riding again here during the day. And go down. Good. Well, here there will surely only be the one on the meadow. Not that you would become old with the second. But mine, we would get this going now as well. Yes. Can we tilt it to the other side again? The tool bag is quite an old one, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. Everything from the collection at home somewhere.
And who created this beautiful exhaust?
We inflated it ourselves with a high-pressure cleaner. So 2 sheets. 2 sheets welded flat on top of each other. Welded at the edge. Connect the high-pressure cleaner properly. And then it should look like this. With the lance.
A brilliant idea. Look at that. And when they are beautifully synchronized, yes, the 2001, that it needs to be built like that. Look, left and right, it's pretty easy. CNC milling machine, not better, in no way. And that was the first attempt. Very nice. And we used to always use the rear sprocket like that in motocross.
That is 100 teeth.
Insanity. You drive across the yard once and then the usance settles down.
Exactly. The problem is that the friction wheel is this large and the flywheel is so small. That's why we also have gears included, because it is further reduced and then additionally reduced at the back.
Did you try that again? Or not? Booting up.
We took the biggest thing there is. And now, of all times, we want to take a look.
So the engine is actually started with a so-called fuse. That means... Exactly. You have this easily flammable paper up front, and when you place it into the combustion chamber, the compression causes the piston to rise, igniting the fuse, which then propels the piston downward. The heat generated in the process ignites the diesel, and then the subsequent work effectively takes place. If you ever ignited too briefly, the fuse here might speak a bit sharply. I'm quite good at it, because I input it.
So that's a lot of CO2 in there.
Felix is going to try around, making a nice wide path, so we can turn around in the back. Please move over, a bit more, a little more over. Just another cool stomach cancer Mercedes or something that comes to your mind. Yes, and we are of course burning here today. It produces, if I may not say too loudly, it produces a bit of CO in the process, which is why we have this here under the oaks. They immediately absorb everything. The gases are so beautiful. 2 parts, yes, wonderful. Yes, our boys and girls from Nuremberg, a huge round of applause. Thank you for being here.
He has provided a stand. You can stay like that.